This video, I'm going to give you 7 different ways to make good, sound decision making. Decisions are normally based on the complexity of the problem. So some are very easy. In the business world, it can get very, very complex depending on the problem you're trying to solve. And you should go through some type of rigor in your head when you go through even some of the simple decisions you have to go through. The first thing I want to talk about before we start talking about the 7 steps, I'm going to go through 4 different types of decisions that you can make. First one, a program and non-program decision. So program are based on habits. I do the same every day, so I really need to think about it. So if you make a change from what's in your program, then you need to take a step back and think about it. Non-program decisions are things that you normally don't do. They're unscheduled, they're unplanned, they're unroutine. So that's still another process you need to go through. The next one is major and minor decisions. So something major would be, hey, look, I'm going to buy a piece of equipment for the office that costs, $20,000, or I'm getting ready to sign onto a long leasing agreement. Those things are major decision making that you should go through some rigor. The other ones that some people think are major, but let's say, for an example, I got the Christmas party is coming up, an office party is coming up. What's the theme party? Where is it going to be? How many people will come and who do I invite, et cetera, et cetera. Some people think that's major, but I put that over to the minor category, even though it might be important, but I try to bucketize my decisions into a couple different areas. The third one is routine or strategic decisions. When I call something routine, I'd say it's repetitive. You have a strong process in place. It's like procurement. You go through A, B, C, D, E. There's some check boxes along the way. You stop, you get approval, you get one approval. You go to the next step, blah, 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 till you get to the final end gate. Boom, you make the purchase, off you go. Those are routine. The next one we talk about is strategic. Strategic, I need to buy this equipment. I need to invest in this area because now we're looking long term. We're not looking at today, we're looking out in the future. How do I prepare myself? How do I prepare the business to be ready in the future? These are strategic decisions. The last one is spiritual or moral questions or decisions. Even on the job, sometimes people get into a situation where spiritually they don't feel like it's a good decision. Morally, they don't want to do this because maybe they're going to an office party where they have alcohol and they don't want to be there. There's a lot of decisions that come into place. Even though you're in a business setting, there are still some things, an improper joke, or even though it may not be a discolor joke, but it still might not be appropriate depending on how your ears are calibrated. So throughout your business process, all of these things play together. Now let's start talking about the 7 steps to ensure that you make a good decision. Number 1, clarify the problem. Clearly articulate, what are you trying to solve? What are you trying to do? What's the end results that you're looking for? Find that out, put it on a piece of paper, problem statement, whatever you want to do, but make sure everybody clearly understands what you're trying to do, what you want to do, and what the results are going to be at the end. Those are some key things. Spend some time on that because a lot of times people start to solve for a problem and then make some decisions on something that was 180 degrees out from what they should have been really looking at. So do yourself a favor, make sure you spend the time making sure you understand what you're trying to solve for. Number 2, set realistic goals, okay? You're not going to be able to boil the ocean. You're not going to have a budget of $1 billion where you can build the next SpaceX. Understand there's limitation on resources, people, time, other jobs you have. There's tons of things that go into that. So don't try to boil the ocean and say, okay, we're going to get rid of everything and we're going to start over. Probably not going to happen. You're going to probably have to build on what you already have. Dissect a little bit, move some of them out, move some to another place. You're not going to be able to start over from scratch. So you're going to have to build on what you have in some cases. So keep that in mind. So the key thing, you want to be specific. You want to be able to measure. You want something that's achievable. You want something that's relevant, and you want something that's timely. Those are the key things you need to look at, right? So when you start to define what your goals are, what you want to do, make sure you look at those 5 things. Number 3, now that you figure out what the goal is and you understand what the problem is, now you're going to start thinking about a solution. So now you're going to start to brainstorm. You're going to get a piece of paper or a whiteboard and you're going to do a brain dump. You're going to put everything you can onto that whiteboard. Exactly what it means. It means a brain dump. So you want to make sure you get the brightest people that you can get, people that understand their business, people that understand what needs to be done, how the process works now, what's going wrong in the business, what's right in the business, what's working, what's not working. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to make sure that you get the right people engaged so you get the right feedback or the right input into the sausage, if you will. So at the end, you can come up with a good solution. Now, number 4, now that you have everything on the board, now you want to evaluate. You want to look at 2 or 3 different items. You might have 10 items on the board. Now you might say, hey, look, let's boil this thing down to 2 or 3 that we can go forward with. Now you take those 3 things, and now you start to determine which 1 or 2 do you really want to focus on. Can't do everything, so maybe you take 2, and maybe that comes down to 1. You want to figure out what has the least amount of resource, least amount of money, has the biggest bang, and you just keep going from there. So maybe it's something that's more time, but you want to be able to come out of the gate that something's relevant, something that is achievable, something that's doable, and the key thing, something that the rest of the team can bite onto and can accept and support. Number 5, and this is probably more important. Once you have your solution, now you need to talk a little bit about how you man it, okay? What about your resources? What about your budget? What about the rollout? What about the timing? And what about the impact? You might need to take this whole story, put it together in a nice presentation, and then go pitch it to your boss or your boss's boss, because you might need to get funding for it. You might need to buy a new piece of equipment, some new software, something that you're going to need to support it. You won't be able to do all this by yourself. You're going to need some people, some support from others to get it through. So being able to bundle this together into something that you can articulate properly to get buy-in that you can stand behind is very, very critical in your decision-making process. Now you got your resources. Now you got, the money. Now you got 6 months to roll this thing out. Now you're ready to go. Communicate it. You got to make sure that it's communicated effectively. And you might want to do some polling before you put it out. You might want to just send it out to 3 or 4, 10 people, whatever the case may be. Let them test it, so you can, if you have a beta, if you will, let someone take a look at it first before you roll it out to the whole organization. Key things when you roll it out, stand behind it, make sure the communication is clear. Not just clear to you because you're embedded in it. You feel it. You've been living in it every day. So the other people on the other side may not understand why you're doing it. So tell them why you're doing it this way. Tell them what the objectives are. Don't hide anything. Say, look, if it's a reason to do it, it's better for the business, and maybe it's painful. Maybe everybody's got to go through a whole new training process. But articulate why it's important, because this piece of software is being redundant, or the business is moving to the right, and we need to do something there. Make sure you communicate it effectively. Now, make sure you get some feedback, whether it's surveys or, put some people in the room that you say, hey, look, at the end of this, I want you to come back and give me some honest feedback on how it went, because it's very important that people bite into it and they accept it and that they embrace it, because you can do all this work, put all these things together, and then you can, give somebody a $5 and say, drink this water, or you can say, hey, look, guys, get engaged with this. This is where the business is going. Communicate it effectively. Pull them in slowly. Pull them in. Get them to buy in. I'm telling you, the whole process, your decision will go so much better if you get buy-in. So it's very important that you communicate it effectively so everybody understands what the goal is, so everybody can get on board. Number 7, do it. Kick it out, roll it out, have your meetings, have your email communications, have your podcasts, whatever you do in your business, your morning meetings, staff calls, whatever you need, roll it out. And then watch. Just watch, listen. Don't try to roll out something else in the next 5 days. Don't tweak it, change it. Roll it out. Get some feedback. Put all your feedback together within, let's say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Unless it's something, that was just obviously missed or it crashes or whatever the case may be. But you have to let your decision have some life. You got to roll it out there. You got to let it breathe a little bit, like a bottle of red wine. Let it breathe a little bit and then see if it gets, because from the very beginning, it may not taste good. But a couple days later, a couple weeks later, it might taste good. You need to get a little air and it tastes better. Give it some time. The worst thing you can do is every week there's another version. I've changed this, I've changed that. That sends out a couple of different messages. You aren't sure about your decision from the beginning, and you're not willing to stick with it long enough. Okay, just stick with it long enough, get some feedback, apply it, get some feedback, make some change, go again. So anything that you put out, you need to measure it. You need to be able to say, okay, is it working? You need to identify how you know it's working, how you know it's not working. Not just in your mind things not working, but put something that you can measure. we were at this point in the beginning. Now it's gone here or it's gone here. You need to have 3 or 4 different indicators that not only for yourself, but you can go back to the business and say, we did this and we were at this level 6 months ago. We have increased productivity by 10%. It's gone down by 5%. Our efficiency is on X, Y, and Z. Our man hours down, man hours up. You got to be able to measure it. Look, but I would love to get on a call with you, talk to some of your decision making, problems or issues that you have on your job or in your personal life, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to spend an hour or two if you just talk on the phone and get some more feedback. So go to my website and hit the button for a free, no cost chat. We'll get on the call for, 45 minutes to an hour and chop it up and see if there's some chemistry between you and I that we can work together in the future. And if it's not, so be it. If it is, it'd be great to talk to you. Anyway, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.